Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh. Not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah, not Abba. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Yuhai, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the bishop and elders of Great Millstone who teach well, who are the apostles and elders over all of Israel, already concepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the ark pushing this truth and believing this truth. But the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Hawk who are listening and learning. If your sisters who are listening and learning, coming at you on the lesson of truth, faith, and edification. And on the day of edification, Lord, will be edifying. So I'll tell you this lesson. Their heads are being permanently wounded, dealing with this 7-head and 10-horn beast system of the Edomites. Their heads are being permanently wounded. And as I tell you in Isaiah 14 and 11, the worms cover thee and they are spread under thee, which is being totally consumed, corrupted, corroded. And in Genesis 3, because this is a prophecy that in the end of Esau Edom, the so-called white man's reign, the Lord is going to destroy them. So this is Genesis 3 and 15. This prophecy of the so-called white man being destroyed, being crushed, being permanently wounded is right here in Genesis 3 and 15. And it reads, I will put enmity between thee and the woman. See, there's a hatred between the so-called white people and the so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, which is from birth. When you read in Genesis 25, there's a perfect hatred, but it was already predestinated that there was going to be a great goat fix between the Edomites and the Israelites. There is a separation of the Edomites being carnal and the Israelites being spiritual. So it's going to always be a battle from the time they was born until the end of their rulership. Again, this is the Lord talking to the serpent in the garden, which was Esau Edom, the spiritual demon Satan. The spiritual demon Satan has physical seeds on earth that plays out his counter, his actions, his wickedness. And it's the so-called white man, because they are the ones that's in rulership over the entire planet. So again, it says, I will put enmity between thee and the woman. This ain't talking about Eve. And between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head. The Lord saying, her seed shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And bruising our heel is and as Elder Yashua went into this a while ago, them bruising our heel for a time is Achilles, right? If you mess your Achilles tendon up, you out for a while. But over time, it will heal, right? It will heal. But when you bruise somebody's head, that's a permanent wound. Now, when you read in Revelation, let's get this real quick and we'll come back. There was a wound that happened to the head, which is the Romans, but they came back, right? They came back. Let's get this. Just want to make some points on the Lord is destroying these devils, man. See, they think we were talking about this. We always talk about this. These devils is running around here drinking blood, right? From these baby fetuses, human trafficking their kids. They're drinking the blood. They don't got to do that. The Lord gave them the earth to rule in wickedness anyway. It reads, Revelation 13:1, the beast from the sea. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads, which is NATO, and 10 horns, which is the EU. In the original were the 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, NATO being 7 heads, the 10 horns being the European Union nations. And upon his head, and upon his horns, 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, which is the beginning rulership of the so-called white man, the Greek Empire, which he took over the original Greeks, which was Japhetic people. Okay, Noah's second oldest son, Japhet, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. That bear represents today the Russians that's occupying the land of the Medes, which was Japhetic people. And his mouth as the mouth of a lion. What they do? They push their draconian measures, their laws, their constitutions, their policies, their legislations, right? Their religions, their philosophies. And the dragon gave him his power. The dragon being the Roman Empire, gave Babylon the Great his power, North America. This is the revived Roman Empire, and his seat. You can read that in First Maccabees 8. Okay, the seat represents putting a president in power. In Roman Empire, it was a man ruled for 1 year. Here in America, it's between 4 and 8 years. So that seat is the Congress, the Senate House, the president. It say, and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. That beast, this system of EU, NATO, Babylon the Great, this so-called white man system, is the government. Now I say the head was wounded, but it was healed. Well, let's go back in Genesis 3:15, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, okay, through Yahweh, first and foremost, shall bruise these Edomites' head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And they bruised thy heel. That's us being under these devils since the Greek Empire. Okay? There was a little space for 1,000 years that we was loose from these devils, and we got rain for 1,000 years. But as it said in Isaiah 26:10, let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. So the Lord let these devils rule the earth 3 times: the Greeks, the Romans, and now North America, Babylon the Great, which is the revived Roman Empire. So the Lord say, we shall bruise his head, and he's going to bruise our heel, right? So let's get some precepts. This is prophecy of them going down, man, permanently. Because that wound that was healed was the Roman Empire being revived, right? In Matthew 11 and 12. And we talk about this a lot, man, because this is about prophecy. This ain't about just saying what you feel or what you think or what should happen. This is about prophecy, man, of Israel going back into power. This is Matthew 11 and 12. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence. What is the kingdom of heaven? Who is it? Did not the Messiah say, the kingdom of heaven is in you, right? We are the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is the people. Again, and from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. This ain't talking about the spiritual realm suffered violence, because everything is done in righteousness in the spiritual realm, man. Okay? In the heavens of the heavens, everything is done in order. So what is this talking about? Okay, it says until the kingdom of heaven, and from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. Who is the violent? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. The Romans took down the so-called white man, the Edomites, the Roman Empire, took down Jerusalem, right? Two quick points I want to make. This is Daniel's 8. Let's start at verse. Let's start about 8. Dealing with Alexander, the Greek. Alexander, the so-called Greek, right? When you read this chapter, it mentions the he-goat and the ram, right? The ram that had two horns. It said on the ram, one of the horns was higher than the other. Because the Medes came in first, right? And then the Persians. And the Persians was a more vast military, was a more vast army. But they joined together with the Medes. And it's cold because today the Persians is the Iranians, and the Medes represent Russia because they occupy that land, which are Edomites. So these two nations, again, that took down ancient Babylon is going to take them down again. Because now it's Edomite on Edomite violence. So it's a Daniel's 8 and 8, dealing with Alexander, the so-called Greek, because he was an Edomite. He wasn't Greek. The real Greeks are the Japhetic people. Okay? Noah's second oldest son, Japhet. Therefore, the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, meaning because this when he died, and for it came up four noble ones, his four generals, towards the four winds of heaven. And it say the little horn. This is Daniel 8 and 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great towards the south, and towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. And when you read this story, uh you had the ribs, the rib that was in the bear mouth, right? Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. So this devil, and this is talking about Antiochus Epiphanes, he conquered the Medo-Persian Empire. Well, after Alexander the Great conquered the Medo-Persian Empire, right? He went to go against Egypt again because that was Ptolemy. Edomites, because at the point when Alexander died, these four generals warned against themselves. So it say, and it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. Who is these stars? Now the scriptures. Now when you read these scriptures, this is about Esau and Jacob, right? This is about Jacob and Esau. You got the heads of Jacob, which is who? Judah, right? The southern kingdom. And the head of the northern kingdom is Ephraim, right? So it say it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars. These stars is Judah, Benjamin, Levi during the time of the Greeks. It say cast down, it say and cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. This is when Antiochus came into Jerusalem and cast down Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which is three of these stars, right? The northern kingdom will be the other 9 stars. When you go to Revelation, this is about the heads. What they did to us through violence. That's why I read Matthew 11:12. It said the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent took it by force. So who took Jerusalem? Every time with the Greeks and the Romans, right? Edomites, so-called white man. So in Revelations 12, remember it just said in Daniel's, the Antiochus, again it say Daniel's 8 and 10, and it waxed great, to my this little horn, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars being Judah, Benjamin, and Levi in Jerusalem at that time, to the ground and stamped upon them. Well, it said the same thing in Revelation 12 and 1, because this is about the heads. See, to get to anybody, any mob, any whatever, you got to get the head. When you get the head leader, everybody that's gonna fall. So this is Revelation 12 and 1. And there appeared a great one in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun. This woman is Israel. We are a woman to the Lord. And the moon on her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars, the 12 tribes of Israel. So during the time in Daniel's 8, when it said he cast down some of the stars to the ground and stepped upon them, he threw three of these stars to the ground, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It says, she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another one in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. Red representing the Edomites, because they're not white like this screen. They have no pigment, they lack melanin, so their blood show forth through their skin, which give them different shades of red, cherry red to a pink or pale, right? It say, and there appeared another one in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads, NATO, and 10 horns, EU, and 7 crowns upon his head. These are the heads of the rulers of the earth. That's why it's crowns on them. Because the Edomites, the so-called white man, controls the entire planet. This is the point. Verse 4. And his tail, what's his tail? The philosophies. Okay? It as a matter of fact, when you go to Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 15, right? Dealing with, it say his tail, right? It say, this is Revelations 9 and 14, 9 and 15. Matter of fact, let's read 14. Therefore, Yahweh will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rush in one day. The ancient and the honorable, he is the head. And the prophet that teaches lies, he is the tail. So the tail that took Judah, Benjamin, and Levi is these Edomites. What does it say? And the prophet that teaches lies, which goes into Judah, which goes into Israel. But this is talking about Esau as well, man. Because it tell you in Job 13 and 4, he's a forger of lies, right? It say, and the prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail. It tell you what that 2 Corinthians 11, starting at 13, verse 14, that Satan has transformed himself into the angels of light, right? Let's go back. So let's say Revelation 13 and 4, and his tail drew the third part of the stars, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, just like Antiochus did in Daniel's 8, man. But you got to know this history to understand this. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven. And who is Judah, Benjamin, Levi? Who is Ephraim? The heads, man. These are the heads of Israel. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. Same thing is said in Daniel's 8. It said Antiochus cast down these stars and stamped upon them. It said, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And that goes into Herod, man, ready to kill the Messiah when he was born, which proved to you, this red dragon proved to you in Matthew 2 that the Roman Empire is the empire of the Edomites, man, because Herod was an Edomite, man. So now this is, let's get this in Jeremiah, because the Lord talks about destroying the heads, right? It's Jeremiah 23 and 19. And it reads, behold, a whirlwind of the Lord is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked, right? This head of the wicked, this 7-head and 10-horn beast system of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. The anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart in the latter days ye shall consider it perfectly. So why is the Lord going to destroy the heads of the wicked? When you go to Micah, this is Micah 3:1. And it reads, and I said, Here I pray you, O heads of Jacob, and ye princes of Israel, and you princes of the house of Israel, is it not for you to know judgment? Who are the heads of Jacob? Judah and Ephraim. Judah over the southern kingdom, Ephraim over the northern kingdom. What happened? Why are we at this point right now? Because these devils, right? It say we shall bruise their head and they shall bruise our heel. Well, our Achilles tendon had been hurt, still healing from it, but we are being built up now. But the Lord is going to crush their head. Remember, if you ever watched the movie Passion of Christ, when he was praying and the serpent came out, when they showed you how Satan was trying to mess with the Lord. What did Yahweh Shai do in the movie Passion of Christ? He stomped. He stomped on the serpent's head in that movie. I don't know if you remember in the movie Passion of Christ, but he stomped on the serpent head, man. Right? So who destroyed us, man? The heads of Edom. The heads of Edom, right? That's who destroyed us. Amalek. We're gonna get the scriptures. So who's going to destroy the heads of Edom? The heads of Jacob, the heads of Yasharallah, which is Yahweh Shai, man. And it all makes sense. Let's get this. It all makes sense, man. In Isaiah, these devils say, this is Isaiah 14. See, this is about them being over the heads of Israel. That's why them that's why them small hats say, them Idumeans say that they are Israelites, right? They Judah. You got some say they Benjamin and Levi, right? Isaiah 14-13. Why they want to be Judah? Because Judah is the head. For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into the heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Who are the stars of the Lord? All 12 tribes of Israel. But they want to be the heads, right? I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation. What's this mean? It means the religion that's been pushed in the earth, the so-called white man sits on top of it, man. He controls it. In the sides of the north. But this is about what he said, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. These 12 stars in Revelations 12, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, right? In Isaiah, there was some points I was meditating on, right? Dealing with the heads. It's Isaiah 28-14. See, Jacob and Esau is the main characters in this movie. And the other heathens, the Chinese, the Japanese, they just extras, in the movie, man. Collateral damage and casualties of war. So what we are dealing with is the two heads, Jacob, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, and Edom, which is the so-called white people. This is Isaiah 28-14. Wherefore hear the word of Yahweh, ye scornful men, that rule this people which is in Jerusalem. The heads. What happened? The Edomites took down the heads of Jacob, and all Jacob fell, man. Well, this is the move of the Lord. It say, because you have said, we have made a covenant with death and with hell. Death and hell represent the so-called white man, because that's what he brings to the earth. They say, and with death are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. Right? Job 13-4. They are forces of lies They are physicians of no value. So I want to deal with these heads. This is Psalms 110 and 6. See, because this is about the heads of Edom and the heads of Jacob. So this is the spiritual battle, and this is the hopeful elect or the 144,000, which is the heads going against the heads of Edom, man. The Psalm 110 and 6. He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He who Yahweh Yahweh shall wound the heads of many countries. Who is the heads? Those that's in rulership, which are the Edomites. Jake think China is in power. No, they ain't. Jake think India is in power. No, they ain't. The so-called white man control all that, man. Don't be no fool. He shall wound the heads over many countries. Okay? Let's get this. In Haggai 2 and 22. It reads, and I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. See, Isaiah 19 and 2, what it say? The Egyptians shall be against the Egyptians, and the Lord gonna come and finish them off. This is Amos. It's just some precepts showing you how the Lord is going to destroy the heads of Edom because they destroyed us, man. But they destroyed us for a time. The Lord's going to destroy them permanently. This Amos 9 and 1, it reads, I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, and that altar is North America, Babylon the Great, man. Because it tells you in Isaiah 34 that Basra shall be a sacrifice, man. That's a burning. An altar to the Lord is when you put animals on to burn sacrifice to the Lord in righteousness. Well, the Lord is finna judge the Edomites righteously. The Lord is finna judge North America, Babylon the Great righteously, man, with fire. This is an altar, man. I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door that the post may shake. And do what, Lord? And cut them in the head. Who is the them? The Edomites, the 7-head, 10-horn beast, and cut them in the head, all of them, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. Right? When you read Isaiah 24, they're gonna be in their bunkers, and that's gonna be their prison. And Lord willing, whoever the elect is, they're gonna take them out of those bunkers, and they're going straight in the chains. You going straight in the chains, boy. Yeah. Let's see you work with chains on. And what Pharaoh do? Pharaoh took the straw from Jake. It was the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, but the Lord had Pharaoh to harden his heart. Hey, now we got to get our own straw and make the mortar mix, man. It say, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. That's Obadiah 1:18. After they rebuild the kingdom, after 1,000 years, he that fleeth of them shall not flee away. Right? They're gonna try to go into their bunkers, right? They mountains, the space station, and he that escape of them shall not be delivered. Though they dig into hell, which is they deep underground military bases, they dumbs, then shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven in a space station, thence will I bring them down. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, Carmel is a mountain retreat, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, these Edomites got $1 billion sub yachts. Okay, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. So the Lord said, what? And cut them in the head, all of them, dealing with these heads. Because this is about, again, Esau and Jacob. Now, this is Habakkuk 3. It's beautiful, man. Because the Lord got these devils in a trick bag, and they think they finna win, man. It's Habakkuk 3 and 12. It reads, Thou didst march through the land in indignation. And that's in Habakkuk 1, starting at verse 5. Habakkuk 1 and 6. They said that thou didst march through the land. As a matter of fact, let me show it. Let me show it to you. That's what these Edomites did, man. In Habakkuk. Habakkuk 1 and 5. It reads, Behold, no Salakia. Habakkuk 1 and 6. For lo, I raised up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation. What's the word America mean? It means bitter, man. That bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land, right? Start with Alexander the Greek. He did that to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. Their horses are swifter than the leopards. See, because the beginning root should start with the lepers. But then it said the horses are swifter than the leopards, the Romans, it's talking about the Roman Empire, and are more fierce than the evening wolves. And their horsemen shall spread themselves. Do not North America, Babylon the Great have over 800 military bases around the world? Sure they do. Go look it up. And their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from far. They shall fly as the eagle that hastens to eat. Buzzword, eagle. What's on their mail trucks? What's on the back of the dollar? Oh no, that might be a phoenix on the dollar. What is on their mail trucks? An eagle. It said they shall come all for violence. Hold on. The kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent took it by force. They shall come all for violence, the so-called white man. Their faces shall sup up as the east wind, and they shall gather in captivity as the sand. They shall scoff at the kings. This is what Antiochus Epiphanes did. He came against us after he lost the battle with the Egyptians, with Ptolemy, and they shall scoff at the kings, and princes shall be a scorn unto them. That was us. It said, what? They, who the Edomites, shall deride every stronghold, for they shall heap dust and take it, because they cannot be satisfied. Let's go back to Habakkuk 3. In verse 12, thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. They go against the heathen nations too, man. Thou wentest forth, they say, thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, even for salvation with thine anointed. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked by discovering the foundation unto the neck. Jeremiah 4:9 and 10. The Lord said he's gonna make them bare, man. See, that did it strike them with his, that did it strike through with his staves, the head of his villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly. They do this secretly, man. And now they're doing it through food and water, chemtrails. That's a secret strategic tactic, man. How they trying to kill Jacob with the alphabet community, with the CDC, right? This is them secretly. What did he say? The days of my father at hand, Esau said this when I slay my brother Jacob. So they doing this secretly, man, in Psalms, but it's okay because the Lord got us, man. Lord got us, man. Lord willing. Psalm 68 and 21 it reads, but God shall wound the head of his enemies and the hairy scalp of such as one as go on still in his trespasses. And what happened in Isaiah 24 and 5? It said they transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. See, this is let's get let's get Romans. There's some precepts I was thinking about how the Lord can destroy these devils, man. The heads of Jacob against the heads of Edom, man. That's what this whole movie is about. And if you're not an Israelite or Edomite, hey, this is of no importance to you, man. Because this is about the heads of Israel and the heads of the Edomites, man. Warring against each other. And what the Lord say is that Deuteronomy 25, the Lord will have war with Amalek forever, man, from generation to generation. This is a spiritual battle. Romans 16 and 20. And the God of peace, who is the God of peace? Yahweh shall bruise Satan under your feet shortly. This is the precept to Genesis 3 and 15. When it say, they shall bruise thy head and thou shalt bruise his heel. This is precept right here. If you got a study Bible, that precept in Genesis 3 and 15 is going to give you Romans 16 and 20. And the God of peace shall bruise Satan under your feet shortly. The grace of our Lord, Yahweh Shemashiyah, be with you. So be true. Amen means so be true. So it is. So, let's get this. Because see, we watching these devils being wounded, man. And this is the Lord making these strategic moves, man. Oh, what is that? In Sirach, chapter 36 and 10. The Lord is wanting to hear these Edomites, man. You see their kingdom falling? They transferring. Hey, everything. I was just at the AutoZone because I had to take a part back from my car that I thought I needed, but I didn't need it. Cause I just got my spark plugs and my ignition coils changed out about a couple hours ago. And these O2 sensors I thought I needed. He was like, "No, I ain't need them. I just need to change the spark plugs and ignition coils." So when I went back to the AutoZone, the guy told me the other AutoZone that was down the street, their whole computer system shut down. They can't look up parts or sell anything, man. And it was an Edomite. He said, "Man, but let me tell you what he said. He said these devils want to put all the information into the computer and it's failing." I said, "Yeah, even more than that, bro. They putting all the information to these little itty bitty sea hips." Esau's kingdom is falling, man. Oh man, I forgot to mention this. Was it Thursday last week? I think it was Wednesday. I went to the grocery store, so I heard two Edomites talking. Right? Hey, the spirit, man. One Edomite was saying. The one Edomite said, "Man, they shutting down all the stores in the mall. That ain't gonna be good for the banks." Hey, the Lord is destroying these devils' empire, man. It's crumbling, man. These devils' empire is crumbling. It's amazing what you hear these might be talking about, man. He said, "Man, all the stores in the malls are shutting down." He said the malls are empty. He said that ain't good for the banks. This is Ecclesiastes 36 and 10. It reads, "Smite in sunder the heads of the rulers of the heathen that say there is none other but we." Man, the Lord is wounding the head of these enemies and they will never be healed, man. This is a permanent wound, man. And they will never rise up again. Thus saith the Lord. So I was just meditating on these few precepts, man, dealing with how cold the Lord is and wounding our enemy. And Jake don't see it, but it's happening, man. Right, the water. Here it is. Yup, see that spirit, bro, had it on the coming boy. I ain't even Fisher Turn Hunter had the Ecclesiastes 36 and 10. This is Exodus 17 and 16 from GMS Harakah. Hey, shalom to all you Akim and Outwalk from the coming board tuning in. Yahweh Shema Washab Barakatham. It reads, "For he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation." Oh, the one I was thinking about, the one in Deuteronomy, right? The Lord said, let's read it. Let's get it. Deuteronomy 25. Been some beautiful times, man. You know, it's gonna get crazy out here. But hey, the Lord is showing that He's destroying these devils, man. And it's gonna be war with these devils until the Lord say He removed them. Because it said Deuteronomy 25 and 17, Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way. Because we dealing with the heads. We dealing with the heads of Edom, and we dealing with the heads of Israel, man. This is the remnant, the men. Okay, this is the men on both sides, man. Everybody else is just casualties of war and collateral damage, man, and extras in the movie. This is about Jacob and Esau, the heads of them. Remember what Amalek did unto thee, which is the head of the Edomites, by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt. How he met thee by the way, and smote the hindermost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou was faint and weary, and he feared not God. And we telling you, the so-called white man don't fear the Lord. Psalm 14, with the other one, Psalm 53. They don't fear the Lord. They say there ain't no God. Oh, and the brother from Australia, he went into Psalms 10, with that Psalms 10 and 4. When you look up at NLT, it said they seem to think God is dead, man, because they get to run around the earth and do what they want to do. No, the Lord gave you the power to do that until he cut you off. This is verse 19. Therefore it shall be, when Yahweh thy power have given thee rest from all thy enemies round about. And if you go read Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1 through 6, and this is cold, man, because none of these people that talk about, oh, everybody can be saved. If you read Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1 through 6, the Lord say, matter of fact, hold on. We're going to come back to Deuteronomy 25. I just want to show this. The Lord say after, he said he's going to scatter us amongst all these nations, and then it said amongst these nations shall come upon us the blessings and the cursing. Hold on, let's just read this real quick. Deuteronomy 30 and 1. Because nobody reads, man. See, it say restoration promised. Promised. Way in Deuteronomy 30. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, what, Lord? The blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all nations. Remember to say, Baruch, in the land of thy captivity, thou shalt remember thyself. It say, whether the Lord thy power have driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy power, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations. This is after we was going to be amongst these devils, with the blessings and the curses. It say, whether the Lord thy power have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out to the utmost parts, Salakia, if any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, right here, North America, Babylon the Great, the fourth part of the earth, from thence will the Lord thy power gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee, and the Lord thy power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. Here's verse 6. This is the fourth precept to prove that the Lord going to put the laws in our inward parts. Is this verse, Deuteronomy 30 and 6, Jeremiah 31, Hebrews chapter 8, and it's also in Ezekiel 36, man. The Lord said he's going to circumcise our heart. Verse 6, Deuteronomy 30 and 6. And Yahweh thy power will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed to love the Lord thy power with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And then what, Lord? And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And the curses is falling on them right now. But this time out when we get back to the land, and then the heathen nations gonna really be, they're gonna really be on them curses, man. So you see right here in Deuteronomy 30, the Lord say he's gonna scatter us, put the blessing and the curses on us, and then bring us back home and circumcise our heart, man. So how can you get past this? Tell me everybody can be saved. No, the Lord say he's gonna do this and then bring us home at his appointed time. So back in Deuteronomy 25 and 19, therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy power have given thee rest from all thy enemies round about. That's what Deuteronomy 30 is talking about. Scattering us and then bringing us back. It say, in the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee for an inheritance, to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek. Obadiah 1 and 18. From under heaven, thou shalt not forget it. So you got Snoop and this slow belly nigga, Steve Harvey, talking about they tired of seeing slave movies. The Lord said he's going to keep us in remembrance, and we shall not forget what these devils did from Amalek all the way to the peon Edomite, man. See, the Lord is warning these devils, man. They system, man, these guys say the whole system at the other AutoZone ain't even working. They can't sell nothing. They can't look up no parts, nothing. I said, man, they finna put all the information into some smaller grain of rice. But this is how advanced these devils is. They want to take all this information that they've been gathering since the early 60s into a grain of rice, man. And you think ain't gonna be some type of malfunction? Come on, man. That grievous sore. You slow belly niggas out there talking about it's sin. All right, go ahead and take it then. We gonna wait and see. Hey, so Lord was edifying. Gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh. That's the spirit, bro. I had Romans 16 and 20. See, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. Hey, I give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh. Bahashem Rikah Kodash. The abundance to the apostles, elder bishop, and elders of great millstone who teach well. Well, the apostles and elders of all Israel already accepted or not. In the sense of salutation to all the octane pushing this truth and believing this truth. But the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking on the hope for elect. Shalom to the Akbar who are listening and learning. You few sisters who are listening and learning. Hey, as a matter of fact, you put this up in Psalm 74, verse 14, when it say, "Thou breakest." Let's read it. Let's read it, because a lot of it's kind of confusion. But when you read the scripture, it's talking about Egypt, right here, with America, modern day Egypt. But this happened. This was talking about Egypt. That's why I tell you that we took the gold and silver from Egypt. It's Psalm 74 and 14. Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces, which applies to the one Isaiah 27. But this verse is talking about the Egyptians. It say, and gave his him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. This when the Lord destroyed the Egyptians, and we came out of with that gold and silver. That's what this verse is talking about. But it applies to Esau today too as well. But it first applies to, just like that one in Jeremiah, when it say the lion has come up from his thicket, that's talking about Nebuchadnezzar. But you can apply that to Yahushua. But first and foremost, that Jeremiah 5 is talking about Nebuchadnezzar coming up against Jerusalem. Just like this verse, it said, thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces and gavest him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. This is talking about the Egyptians. When the Lord destroyed them, hey, we ate good off them in the wilderness, man. That gold and silver. So that's what they're talking about first. But hey, the while for that precept. Let's read verse, let's start at 12. Because it applies today. There's nothing new under the sun. It reads, Fisher Turn Hunter 4, Psalm 74 and 12. For power is my king of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. Thou didst divide the sea by the strength. See, he divided the sea, talking about the Red Sea, the Gulf of Suez. It said thou didst divide the sea by the strength, by thy strength. Thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters, talking about the Egyptians. But it applies to Esau today too. Verse 14, thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces and gavest him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. This is Fisher Turn Hunter, Numbers 24 and 18. It reads, and see, this show you, it's talking about the heads, man. The heads of Jacob is going to take the heads of Edom. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Verse 19, out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, the head, Yahushua, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. Who? Esau, Edom, man. It say, verse 20, and when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, the head of Esau, the head of Edomites. but his latter end shall be that he shall perish. The water, beautiful precepts. The water. So yeah, man. Just some points I wanted to make, showing you these devils is through, man. The Lord is destroying them. The Isaiah 14:11. What's that? What would Yahweh Shai say? Was that Luke 10 and 18? I saw Satan as lightning fall from heaven, mean they falling out of their rulership, man. They falling out of power quick, man. Yep. Beautiful precepts, man. The water for all you brother precepts, man. Again, I'll pray to Yahweh Shema Mashah, Bahashem Rekah Kodash. Hey, demonstrate to the apostles and elders of great millstone, rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether they can accept it or not. And the sincere salutation to all the occupant pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Akwath who are listening learning. If you sisters who are listening learning. Hey, Lord, was edifying. Until next time, I say Shalom, Wa Abba Abba.